Hey, I'm Jason from KitchenGoat.com, and today it's a good thing you don't have smell-o-vision because we're at a dairy in Nashville, Michigan. I went from Nashville, North Carolina to Nashville, Michigan, and we're here at MooVille with Eric, and Eric's going to tell you a little bit about MooVille.
Yeah, so this is a family-owned and operated farm and creamery. My parents started the farm about 30 years ago. We moved from the homestead just south of Grand Rapids and moved here with 80 cows and 6 kids, all under 6 years of age. There's a single twin, I'm a twin, and then my younger siblings are triplets. And they were all 4 months old when we moved here. So my mom and dad started the farm and they started a family and started milking cows and just kind of doing the American farm dream for a little while until I was in high school, and then we started building a creamery.
All right, Eric, so what do we have here?
So this is the milk cow barn. There's 215 cows in the barn. We got 4 separate robotic milking systems, 2 on each side, 2 for the older cows and 2 for the younger cows. Everything that you see in here is pretty much how it always is. Cows are laying in stand-bedded free stalls, so they're big girls. They're 1,500 pounds and they're always laying in sand. There's automatic alley scrapers to where it cleans the alleys every 3 hours. And then there's 22 fans, I think, in the barn that are 52 inches. So every time it gets above 58 degrees, all the fans turn on and and the cows can stay cool.
Well, Eric, it's a good thing you're not in Nashville, North Carolina, because I think right now it's about 95.
Oh, yikes.
So what are these lovely ladies eating here?
Yeah, so this is called TMR, or a total mixed ration. There's corn silage, so that corn silage is the entire stalk. It's the corn ear, and it's all crunched up together, and it gets down into a 1/4 inch pieces.
Right.
Cows are master sorters. They're like kids that don't want to eat the vegetables. They can sort it out. So if you make it all into small things, mush it all together, they have to eat it. So there's corn silage, there's haylage, and then there's minerals and concentrate, and that's what they're eating. And then they're also getting pellets in the robot, and that's their feed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what else can you show us here?
Okay, so on each cow there is a black transponder. So when it walks into the robot knows automatically who that cow is. So there's going to be an arm that goes underneath the cow, it brushes off the cow, and it automatically hooks up the milking units. And we don't have to be there and milk the cows. They literally the robot can milk themselves. And also on that transponder, we're getting body temperature, we're getting rumination, and we're getting activity. So it's catching cows in heat, it's catching cows that are sick, and it knows exactly who she is and when she goes into the robot.
You guys hear that? That's all from that transponder. We're ready to roll. And you're telling me the cows milk themselves?
Yeah, and we could go check it out if you want to see it.
Let's go.
So we have an automatic Juno feed pusher, and as you can see going down the feed bunk, cows keep pushing their feed further away from them.
Right.
So we feed once a day, every morning, and as cows are pushing away their feed, Juno goes every 3 hours and pushes the feed back up closer to them. Normally it's done with like a skid steer or something, you have to go in the barn, but this way at midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., the feed's always getting pushed up.
So that giant hockey puck
I haven't heard that one.
remotely goes down there, pushes it back in, and says, "Here, ladies, more food." And what that does is that cuts down on production costs. So let's go check out some milking parlors.
Yeah. She gets kicked out, she just got milk, but we'll see what happens. She's showing it. She's getting milk.
All right, so Eric, we've got this automated system here. What's going on?
So a new cow just walked in and it read her transponder that we were talking about earlier. So it knows this cow is 2354. Once it's finished pumping down from the previous cow, it'll start going underneath. So this arm is going to move. It moves. There's a second arm that goes underneath, and it's got those red and white brushes. It's going to spin and knock off any debris that might be there. And it's going to do that twice, so it takes about 45, 50 seconds. And it'll do all 4 quarters, come back, and then you're going to see a laser that comes out, and it's going to connect each quarter or each teat onto a cup, and it gets milk out from there.
We're using laser beams?
We're using laser beams.
Laser beams, folks. Look at this. It's all automated. If my grandpa, Perry Knapp, was still alive, he would just be fascinated with that. Eric, you were talking about how some folks react differently to this room.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do a lot of school tours here. Pre-COVID, we did 7,000 school kids, so there'd be like a bus load or two every day throughout the
Right.
summer. But a lot of the kids, they haven't seen a farm or haven't seen it and been around it or worked on a farm, really. But grandpa and grandmas that come in, they probably milk cows themselves or have been around it or grew up doing it for mom and dad. They sit here and watch it because they're in awe. Their backs probably still hurt from milking before, from how much time it took bending over, using your knees and your back. And now, as you can see that it's connecting, the laser is finding it. It might take a little bit, her quarters are closer together, but the laser's gonna go find out, and each cup will go on individually, and then it's also gonna come off individually too. So once each quarter's done, it won't over milk it, it'll pull it off individually too. So that's a cooler thing with the robot.
Yeah, boy, my grandpa, he'd really have a field day with this one.
Yep, and then so also on the computer, it'll tell us how many days in milk she is, how long she normally is in the robot, how much pellets she's getting, and then so she's expected for 21.6 pounds. So it's calculating how much milk she gives on average daily, and then how long she's been away from it.
It's that 1% that just...
Yeah.
I mean, and I got to tell you, this is probably the cleanest dairy farm I've ever been to.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, as far as, all that automation pays off, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
Look at all that.
One cool thing about MooVille, so we were talking about a single source farm.
Right.
So we do all of our own field work. So my brother takes care of the crops. I normally take care of the cows. And then I have a brother that takes care of the processing of the milk. And then my twin brother takes care of making of the ice cream.
Okay.
But doing that, we control every step of the way. We're planting our corn in the spring, harvesting it in the fall. We got hay to work on, but we're also harvesting our own milk. And with that, this milk will get bottled within 2 days. And so once we bottle milk and it gets on the shelf, we have a 24-day lifespan on it, where a lot of processors will have about two weeks on it, to where we have 21 to 24 because it's just such a quicker process.
Right.
Where when this cow's done, her milk will go into the bulk tank,
right.
And then it can get gravity fed down to MooVille. So we'll never go on a milk truck. It'll just go directly down to MooVille, and it will be able to handle it that much faster.
So not only is this a family operation, but this is a one-stop shop. Everything's right here. And that's what we're all about here at Kitchen Goat. So we're going to watch this cow get milked,
Yep.
And then we'll go on to somewhere else.
Yeah, so she's just done, so it's using the laser again to
Right.
find her heat coordinates and put iodine on it. That way she's disinfected
Right.
for the next time through. Yeah.
Wow. And all within, now what's leaking out of there?
It's just like a peroxide that cleans the brushes in between each cow.
Ready to go? All right, Eric, one of the biggest things that people worry about are the conditions of animals. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, this is bad, this is a dairy, milk is used in so many different things. So why don't you tell us about the conditions that these lovely ladies live in?
Yeah, so this is the milk cow barn, this is the main barn. So 215 are housed in here, and then throughout their life, as a calf, they get fed milk twice a day,
right.
And then they get onto grain and grow up a little bit older. But during each barn, we have a newer barns, and everything is bedded with sand bedding. It's called the gold standard for cow comfort because it's the most comfortable for cows to lay in. And then everyone that works on the farm is family, and then we have one high school help. So anything, when cows are handled or worked with, it's always by someone within our own family. And then also the feed is grown here on site,
right.
And we handle them all the way through. We're working through each step of the way from cows have their first calf at 2 years of age.
Okay.
So we're hands-on pretty much from the start to the finish. We're always working with them and that's why we have so many fans. Like our electric bill is huge because there's
Right.
so many there's so many and sand's not cheap either. But
Right.
we're always doing things to be able to make sure that the cow is most comfortable, and you'll hear that on a lot of farms. Cow comfort is the number one thing that people are concerned about, and making sure that the girls that we work with every day are treated properly it's a huge concern for us because we consume our own products too, so we're very concerned on how our animals are treated.
So you hear that? Happy ladies, happy life. Gee, I think I've heard that somewhere before. And how old are these ladies?
So everyone on this side of the barn is between 2 to 3 years of age, first or second lactation, and on the opposite side of the barn is the old girls, and they're third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh lactation. So if they're bigger, they go on this side. If they're smaller, they go on this side.
Sounds great. Ladies, you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. All right, so I went over to Doug Weaver's, and Doug's kind of interesting because I talked to him on the phone, and I said, we were talking about food, and he's like, somehow grits came up. Grits is a southern thing. Mm-hmm. It's corn. And I'm like, how in the world do you know about that? He's like, come on over to the farm, and I'll talk to you about that. So basically, he would go down to Louisiana to visit his aunt and uncle, and they would have grits. I said, Doug, I got something for you. I gave him some grits, and I said, if you add cheese to it, just like every other recipe I've done, it'll make it better. And he said, you know what? Let me tell you about MooVille cheese. I'm lactose intolerant, and I can eat this stuff. So why don't you explain that to me?
Yeah. So A2 is a newer thing. It was discovered by Australian scientists. And then if you've ever heard of the A2 milk company, that's out of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And this is much bigger in Europe than it is here.
Right.
But A2 is not fully scientifically proven, but there has been a ton of research on it, and I think it's a matter of time before it is. But it's just an easier digestible protein found within some cows and not others. So when that came out, there's cows that carry the A1 protein and the A2 protein. So we tested everyone. It's just a genetic test.
Right.
And then everyone that had the A1 protein, we sold them off and bought some A2s back in to replace them.
Right.
And so now the herd is 100% A2. So it's just an easier digestible thing. And since it's not scientifically proven quite yet, getting there, we had our own little survey. So once we hit 100% A2, we were at 90% for a long time.
Right.
We ran our own milk, and then we had 50 people that said, I am lactose intolerant. My stomach just does not feel good after consuming dairy.
Right.
So we had a survey. It was like 20 questions or something like that. But the main question was, how much discomfort do you have when you consume dairy? And it was on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing to 10 being a lot. And a lot of people said it was like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then after consuming A2, it was anywhere from a 1 to a 3.
Wow.
And that was huge because people said they can't eat dairy. They have so many different problems. And now people that think they're lactose intolerant are actually just intolerant to the A1 protein. So as the dairy industry continues to move forward, I hope that is a bigger thing. We're the only one in Michigan that carries strictly A2 milk products. But we're hoping for the dairy industry as a whole to bring people back to dairy and have dairy again. It would be really awesome to see.
Wow. So if you're lactose intolerant, this guy is the only guy in the entire state of Michigan, which, Eric, I want you to do something funny for me. My wife's from Michigan,
Okay.
and when she always said, this is where I'm from. So why don't you show people where we're at?
Okay, so Nashville, Michigan is in your southwest corner, right about here, north of Battle Creek. Over here is Detroit, some of Michigan. We are in that opposite corner, closer to Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids.
If you're lactose intolerant and want to try this cheese, come to MooVille. And you know what? I think that's what we're going to do next, because you all know I love cheese. All right, so we're going to end our tour here at MooVille of Nashville. So, Eric, I like to end every show with be kind, be excellent to each other, and I'll catch you soon. Have a great day.